the gaslighting of the Republican Party tricking you into liking data centers and the Democrats winning in the battle.
Local Olive Garden uses as much water as an average data center. So I don't hear anyone opposing Olive Garden on their water usage and bill going up.
Huge conflict of interest. Governor Abbott's taking millions of dollars from the data center industry.
The Meta data center was constructed. The only difference between the clean water and this was that data center. We could say the same thing about Silicon Valley billionaires that are constructing and pushing and imposing these data centers on communities that are overwhelmingly rural, disenfranchised, poor, and whose own elected officials are not being transparent. I visited Georgia. I was just in Memphis on Friday. There was an XAI gray water treatment plant on one street corner. Across the street, all within one block, methane turbines, coal ash, wastewater facilities, and everyone in that area is getting poisoned. At the end of the day, this conversation is not just about technology. It's about people's ability to live without getting cancer.
On top of that, you have Trump's AI litigation team, which is pretty funny when you look at it. So the Department of Justice has built like an AI litigation team to go out to different states. Like you can see where the priorities are. So if there's a state or a community that says, we don't want data centers in our backyard, or we're putting onerous rules in place and regulations in our backyard because we don't want these things here. Well, here comes Trump's Department of Justice and the AI litigation team, and they're going to start to look at your community and sue you.
Quantum Bombs. Welcome to Quantum Bombs, a commentary show on the human condition through metaphysics and freedom. Oh man, guys, last week I saw a Fox News video. Ooh, and it irritated me so bad. I sent 2 voice notes to 2 of my best friends, so angry. And I realized I just got to make a video about it. It's going to make me feel better because I was at the point where I thought I would rather support Democrats in saying men are women and women are men than swallow some data center BS. So this is a news piece that went missing and no one talked about. 2 outlets talked about it. You probably didn't hear it and you're probably like, what are you talking about? We love data centers, Beth. By the end of this, you will understand completely my case. We're at a very pivotal time where we are positioning ourselves in our very bipartisan, split tribal country as we are, the landscape of politics. And this is like so clear to me, written on the wall. I do not want conservatives to go down as a libertarian, as someone that loves free markets and wants a lot of Doge back in our White House, which went away, and all kinds of other things. This is like the worst stamp to get. And I already know the Trump administration is pro data center. You may have not noticed that. Most people don't realize, but the executive order accelerating federal permitting of data center infrastructure actually went out July 23rd, 2025. A full year ago, this was already beginning.
Shouldn't forget at the very beginning of the Trump presidency with all these executive orders, so that you could start building a data center without even getting environmental permits. So you could start the construction. So if like the redacted news, the data center wants to get started, I could go out tomorrow, buy some land, and I could start this construction, local permits, and get started. Forget the EPA requirements, like how much pollutants will be spun off as a result of the diesel generator backups, or the water influx, or any of the particulate matter that will be spun off as a result of the center, the water usage, all of that. Don't worry about it because now the EPA doesn't care. You can get those. You can already start construction.
But we have midterms coming up, sir. This is kind of dangerous, right, for me to be talking about it. No, I think like right now, this is the best time to talk about it because we're in this beautiful, pivotal space of we could kind of shape what our future looks like, specifically with flock cameras, for example. A few patriots, an algorithm letting people know could change the trajectory. We could be the only country in 10 to 20 years that doesn't have mass surveillance simply because we didn't allow it. We physically removed them over and over and over again until they realized it just isn't going to work here. The data centers are way more complex than that, but it's this pivotal time that the parties were shaping our narratives. And I really don't want a conservative narrative to be pro-data center. But after you watch what I'm going to show you today and just let Fox News just gaslight the boomers, and I'm saying this as a joke, but it's true because my dad is one of my best friends and he is an avid Fox News watcher. And this is what they're spewing. Oh, I just can't wait to share it with you. But the real question at the top isn't, do Republicans love data centers? Because that's quite a big yes in regards to where the party wants to take us and how our party got hijacked, basically. But in regards to the MAGA narrative has changed. That's what I'm expressing when I'm saying that off the cuff, but need to explain myself further. The real question is, why do we need the data centers thrown down our throats? The point I want to make clear right here is we've already had data centers that support your internet search, your photos in the clouds, Netflix, Amazon. It's all already supported. So why are 3,400 mandated by that executive order that Trump built, 3,400 coming to a state near you? Why? And really, why? Tell me in the comments why you believe this is such a big deal. One of the many theories is one that I put out on an AI Can't Afford Itself video I've made, which it's 4 ways the AI bubble is going to pop or could pop, and some they don't, some they have a double pop, etc. Is that our GDP is only positive because of our AI spend. This is the next defense spending, military industrial complex. This is the next 10 to 50 year spend on, there's no real product. The product is spending itself. It's propping up the economy itself. That's just one theory. There's many other. But I want to get in back to the need, just so you can understand quickly. I made a prior episode. Love for you to watch it because I will toot my own horn. It's like a data center documentary. So I pull in facts and videos from all different sources, but it's not just the electric spend, which is 5 different ways it'll change your electric bill. It's not just the pollution that it puts out in both water and air. It's not, that it can possibly give you sickness by living near one or stop animals from having babies that are in the vicinity of one. It's way more than that. It's covered in the episode. But the small part of that I want to give off to you at the top right now so you can understand what I'm saying. Why do we need them? In the past, when we were doing our data centering and it was, no one batted an eye at it, they were 10 to 30 megawatts. We're talking about energy in the now, in the instant and per second. 10 to 30 megawatts. Then we got Netflix, Amazon, cloud storage, massive amounts of data that we're living in a world where this is the case, right? That is only 500 megawatt data centers. Those already exist. The ones that they're bringing in, the ones that we're fighting about, the ones that they're going to gaslight you about in these Fox News videos here shortly, are 1 gigabytes. To get to a gig, is it gigawatt or gigabyte? Who cares? But I'm tracking that I may have gotten it wrong, people. So yell at me in the comments, please. To get to 1 gigawatt is 1,000 megawatts, right? So just to give into perspective, in Maine, one of the data centers, they were trying to figure out, having these town meetings. They only had legislation on the zoning books for, commercial businesses. How much energy can we spend, right? Well, it's legislated for about 30 megawatts. The AI data centers we're building today start at 1 gigawatt, but we already know that the Strato, whatever, in Utah is 9 gigawatts. I think it's called Megatron coming to Texas is 17 gigawatts. The heat energy they put off, just to put into perspective, is the one in Utah would be an equivalent of 12 Hiroshima bombs per day. They can raise the temperature for up to 6 miles. I believe it's up to 16 Fahrenheit. Don't quote me on that. It could be as low as 12 Fahrenheit. That's a lot, though. That's like, it's over 100 degrees right now in Texas as I'm filming. But if I'm 6 miles from a data center, it could be 115 degrees. I mean, this is insane. But let's not focus. This episode has nothing to do with why you should hate data centers. We already know that. That's indisputable. And if you haven't, please do some digging. This is about the gaslighting of the Republican Party tricking you into liking data centers and the Democrats winning in the battle. So this all kicked off last week. I'm getting excited, guys, with this Axios report. Okay. The GOP issues a stark warning to AI companies. Oh, this is just like juicy gossip to me. I just love it. All right. The Senate GOP campaign arm. So it's clearly the Republican Party's campaign arm for the Senate. And a private memo to top AI companies warns that toxic views of the U.S. data centers are killing the party's chances of holding a vital seat in Ohio. In the memo, obtained by Axios, which is who wrote this article, Democrats have made data centers a centerpiece of their campaign to defeat Senator John Husted of the Republican Ohio Senate. And that it's working, and that it's actually working. Well, who'd have thought? If he loses and the data centers get the blame, politicians across the country will take note and they will not go near the next one. Well, thank you, Jesus. Okay. This is what the memo says. This has become a sleeper issue for the entire election cycle. Now, what that means, sleeper issue, this goes back to what I was saying. a year or two, both sides were pro data center because no one really knew what they were doing yet. This is because they thought they were the 30 megawatt model to the 500 megawatts. They weren't the massive they're not the nuclear heat spending ones that we are putting out there now. I call them energy conversion buildings because all it does is take energy and converts it to heat. Like if you were an alien, you'd be like, they built these buildings all over the earth and they just convert into heat. The point I'm being is that we were both kind of unaware, but projecting out there that, hey, we're going to bring jobs into your community. We did, it's typically good to talk about big tech names like, oh yeah, Google's moving into Austin. It's bringing X, Y, and Z. Well, that's what the politicians were doing at first. However, we then found out that these data centers are bad and they only support a skeleton crew is my point. If they probably bring in 10 to 50 workers, which is what it is per data center, it's likely going to be some proprietary workers outside the community, not into the rural environment itself. Okay, on back with the article, why it matters. Republicans want the AI companies to do whatever it takes to stem public backlash. The big picture. AI CEOs and top Republicans share in the rising panic. They tell us, and you're like, really? Do Republicans really feel this way? Wait till I put you into the Fox News. You'll just see the narrative. They're just trying to mold you to just love these data centers. Just take data centers all over your face. Okay. They tell us internal polls show data centers are as popular as spent nuclear waste, and more broadly have become a proxy for feeling about AI. A proxy, meaning it's a perfect example. No one likes AI, so when you hear data center, it's The good news, guys. The good news is that it's Republicans and Democrats, everyone across the board hates data centers. So that's the good news. That's why I'm like, now is a pivotal moment to show the Republican Party, even though I'm so anti what this administration is doing, but still I'm a libertarian. So we need something. We need hope. Or I'm ready to burn it all down. When I saw this video, I was like, I'm going to burn it all down. Marjorie Taylor Greene, Tucker Carlson, they're going to save us somehow. We're going to accept the third party. Okay, but back to the point is that data shows right now that we all just hate them. And also on the nuclear point that they made, this is actually true that the not in my backyard, which is what this argument is, with nuclear power plants in the 70s, we were wrong. Like, unless you basically don't have a case arguing against me that nuclear energy isn't the best way forward. And then in the 80s, we had Chernobyl happen. And I've been to Chernobyl personally, find my YouTube video. Absolutely love it. But it was an absolute disaster, but only because of mismanagement. And I've literally been there and done the tour and everything. It was because of mismanagement of that Cold War era. And then the point being is that you had a massive public backlash against nuclear waste back then. They said no to nuclear energy, which sucks for us. And that's what they're saying now. We could be getting wrong with the data centers. However, you don't really care if I'm able to Google something. I know that's not why you want these data centers. Okay, back to the article. Tech giants are scrambling to pull together media campaigns to try to shift opinion before it hardens locally and nationally. Here's the important part, guys. If you want the Republicans to win in the midterms, here it is. But Democrats aren't dummies. They see the same polls are moving fast. Even politicians who previously embraced data centers, including Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro, are racing to crack down. Dude, he blew a tweet. But let's watch this first. This is just a video of him cracking down.
Seeing it where my family's from, in Montgomery County, where one developer is trying to bully his way into forcing data center projects through local opposition from the community and opposition from local elected officials. Instead of actually respecting those residents, of listening to them, of understanding their concerns and trying to work with them, the developer instead is trying to sue his way into building those data centers.
He sounds like he's on the right side of history, and that's the problem. Is that you have the Democrats coming out on the right side of history. Here he is. Breaking, I just signed an executive order implementing the strictest standards in the nation for AI data centers because I will not allow Pennsylvanians to be bullied by greedy developers. Effective immediately, we're requiring AI data centers to submit a strict environmental transparency. Blah, 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 the drama of it. Okay, back to the article. We know that there's 4,000 data centers already. We have 3,000 more coming. We're not going to go over. This is just discussing public backlash about why they don't like them in jobs. Let's zoom back into the Republican Husted's opponent in Ohio. Senator Sharon Brown Democrat, has spent millions of dollars on a summer ad campaign calling Husted the face of data centers. Watch this, dude. They're killing it.
Called the face of data centers in Ohio. Why? Because John Husted spent years aggressively recruiting data centers to the state, cutting sweetheart tax deals and fast-tracking approvals, while ordinary residents watch their electricity bills explode.
We are here with Ohio Senator John Husted. He has a lot of experience with something called data centers.
John Husted. Who's he really working for?
I'm Sharon Brown, and I approve this message.
Total scumbag. I definitely wouldn't vote for him. Okay. So you can see how this is already a brilliant weapon. Republicans say the issue is especially potent in heavily blue-collared Ohio because the state has several big data center projects in the works. Okay, and then the article goes on to say that, yes, the guy with the brilliant commercial is looking like he's going to win. Okay, and then it just closes with what they want what Republicans want the AI companies to do. They want the AI companies to improve perceptions of the data centers by explaining who benefits, who pays, and why a community should want one. Until that happens, the issue will continue to dominate this race. The bottom line, the memo argues that Husted loss would cause long-standing damage to AI companies in their push to build data centers nationwide to power future generations. Thank you. This is like a perfect storm. If voters' perceptions of data centers are not fixed quickly, the campaign against them will expand far beyond Ohio. Oh my gosh. I'm just snort laughing because I feel like it already has. But so this is just like, I think, a fascinating time to be watching this. Now we're going to let Fox News gaslight us. This came out on Fox News the same time right after the article came out. The funny thing is, I think Fox News, by putting these at the way they frame it, is that they're just like neutral and they're just simply asking questions to the people that say just all the right little things.
I think this is a grave mistake. This is a national security issue that's turning into a local zoning issue. And I don't know anyone, if you've ever been to a homeowners meeting that's run well, they never are. And now we're putting politicians in charge of technology that very few of them ever understand. And it's moving too fast. And I would tell you, we've been here before, right? Remember 5G and cell towers? Nobody wanted them in their backyard.
Great point. So to the common uneducated person, he made a really good, valid point. We pushed back against 5G. We didn't know what it was. Turns out it's probably most likely harmless unless you're one of the conspiracy theorists that still thinks it can do crazy things. But again, has no real validity. I forget what it's called, the tactic he's using.
But they wanted 5 bars of coverage. Same thing here playing out with data centers. People are afraid of what's going to happen. They talk about the cost, but here's the funny thing. When it talks about water usage, your local Olive Garden uses as much water as an average data center. So I don't hear anyone opposing Olive Garden on their water usage and bill going up.
Wow, great point. Obviously, must be talking about the 30 megawatt. We already know that they need millions of gallons of water. They're energy conversion buildings after all. So that's just basically a flat out oversimplification of an outdated data center. So it's beyond me that this is the world we're living in. And what I mean by that is you can take a very complex topic, right? Like at the beginning, I told you some of the nuances of how these are much larger than you think, etc. But you can go talk to the normal people at home. And so like you're describing, what's an example? You're just describing something completely different, and you're saying it's just like this when it's something completely different.
Because it's not real Italian food.
So we're in a race with China.
Absolutely.
And you can look at the numbers, right? AI inventions, China, 38,000 compared to over 6,000 for the U.S. Patents, 38,000 to 6. You see what we're seeing here, by the way, robots installed, 276,034. China isn't dealing with any of this. But I wonder if ultimately, forget the scarcity of chips, forget China trying to go without being held back in any way, if the rising opposition to data centers in this country is one of the biggest threats to our development and achieving dominance.
Yeah, as you see here, China's building out capacity while the far left's building out opposition. The saving grace is federalism here, right? Different states have different laws and rules. So while New York and other states may pass moratoriums, which will ultimately damn them and drive up electricity costs and keep them out of the data center race, I think this administration, the president, is very rightly focused on making sure there are plenty of data centers built here. There's over 4,000 planned right now on top of the 4,000 that already exist. You know that Virginia is an epicenter. So we're going to see that happen in areas like Texas and New York in spite of some of these regulations.
There's a lot to unpack with what he just said. Wow. Thank you so much. If they can't build it in one state, they can build it in another. And they gave us the numbers against China. I'm glad they do. Again, going back to discussing things that without having like a debriefer in a small mini like YouTube explainer video, and I'm not being sarcastic, right? Like I do this. How do I educate myself? I ask AI. I watch YouTube. I hear some differing opinions. The AI, China is building AI. On my go watch that documentary, I call it my data center documentary style thing. I discussed what China is doing, though, is very, very different. And I just kind of love how we naturally lean into Russia bad, China bad. That is why I grew up with that narrative. And it really, until just hear me out, right? Because I want to make a point, because you are like, well, Beth, are you a communist? Or no, okay, obviously I'm a free market capitalist, libertarian. I want maximum freedoms. But I have seen, until you really get out of the Western propaganda bubble, and you think you can, but you really can't until like you literally place yourself on the opposite end of the world. You're immersed in these different areas and different cultures, and you're just watching them, right? You're just watching. And then you're also absorbing now, listen to their news, watch their documentaries, and then watch our documentary on a similar thing, and then make some friends with that culture on that other side of the world so you can really learn the politics. And only then can you might be like, holy crap, everything you were taught and told and the viewpoint you saw your world through is kind of BS. There's shades of truth to it, but it's like a whole nother like facet of how the world views America, the West. And so this is just so, that's why when someone says, cause of China, cause of Russia bad, Orange Man bad, China bad, Russia bad, I just don't buy it. I understand we need to have a military presence in the world, which technically I personally believe the military is not constitutional. We were never intended to have a military stronger than our own armed citizens. However, we created the military industrial complex after World War II. So there's no going back. So I get that we have to have, because this is about dominance, which is why I bring up the military. The AI data center is about dominance, right? In this AI world, at least that's what they're pawning it off to be. That's the whole point. It's just, this is what it's supposed to be, guys. There's bad people out there and we have to hold dominance. How do you do that? You just print billions into the right people. At least that's my theory. Let's continue being gaslit. Okay, this one is extra special. I really appreciate the journalist questions that we probe to this Republican politician.
Bring in AI Infrastructure Coalition co-chair and former Louisiana Congressman Garrett Graves. Congressman, great to see you. It's been a very long time. We miss you on the Hill. We're glad, though, that you're here to talk to us about AI.
No, there's so much going on. Look, actually, if I heard that there was a project coming into my community that was going to raise my electricity rates, take all of our water, make a lot of noise, and cause us to lose our jobs, I'd be out there picketing as well.
Oh, so he resonates with us, guys. Don't worry, it's not going to do that.
The news is that President Trump and Secretary Chris Wright, they realize that there are actually ways of doing this in places you can locate projects where it makes sense and brings value to the community and actually lowers electricity rates.
Well, let me ask you about the pause first. You heard what I said about Governor Greg Abbott. Obviously, he was very gung-ho about bringing in data centers, invited them into the great state of Texas, and now he's put a pause just to make sure that they are not straining the already very vulnerable grid down in Texas. What do you make of that news?
Look, there can be bad projects. There can be areas that can't handle a data center, but the reality is 35% of all of the data centers in the entire world are in Northern Virginia. And there have been studies by Berkeley Labs that have come out and said that it has actually created downward pressure on electricity rates. And this whole thing on water, it's simply based upon outdated information. They're now using closed loop systems that works like the radiator in your car that I remind you is not hooked to a garden hose. And so, look, there are ways of addressing this, all of these concerns. And the important thing is engaging communities, finding the right sites for these where they can take off. Look, we found that both Russia and China are out there funding opposition to these projects. It's because they know it gives America an advantage. It benefits our economy. It creates jobs and will allow us to have a more powerful military. Things they obviously oppose, which is why they're funding opposition to these projects.
Okay, so let me ask you a couple of questions here, just yes or no.
Quickly on the China thing, I don't think I said that. China actually primarily is using all nuclear for their data centers. Not only do they use AI differently than us, and they have different legislation around it, they are using all nuclear power.
Data centers provide their own power.
I think that they should either provide their own power or work with the existing utility. The important thing is not impacting ratepayers.
Okay, should they reuse their own water?
Absolutely.
Okay, should they reduce the cost of electricity? I know they can. They can do cost sharing.
That's what all the studies have shown, that's exactly what happens.
Man, he's got all the right answers for all the important issues. She's going down the checklist, guys. It's okay. They fixed the problem.
That's what the companies are committing to.
And avoid disturbing neighborhoods. Some people complain that some of these data centers are, first of all, so big, and then sometimes they can't handle the noise of them.
Yeah, and that's why the site planning and engaging the community is so important. But we also have some of the largest data centers in the world that are actually being welcomed by communities. In my home state of Louisiana, they've cut a check of $50,000 to every single teacher in the parish or county equivalent where the data centers are being located. They're bringing value to these communities.
So why is it, Congressman, that the polling is so bad? I want to put the polling up on the screen here. 30% only favor data centers coming into communities. 70% oppose it. Why do you think that is right now? You're from Louisiana. I mean, you understand the South. You understand how people think down there. And people get very sensitive about things like this that they don't understand moving into their neighborhood. How do you make sense?
They don't understand. There you go.
Well, actually, look, let me say it again. If you had a project coming into your community or mine that I was told it was going to raise my electricity rates, it was going to take all of our fresh water, it was going to get rid of our jobs, you bet I'd be out there fighting. And that's why the good news is the work that President Trump, the work that Secretary Chris Wright is doing is actually ensuring that the projects moving forward do the opposite of that, create jobs and opportunity, that it actually brings additional funds to the economy of these communities, that it lowers rates, that it protects water systems. And look, why are we doing this? And this is the most important thing, Aisha. We're doing this.
Look at all these data center jobs. Look at the jobs in the screen. If you're listening, guys, it's just a bunch of wires. These are the energy conversion boxes, guys. There's jobs to build the sucker, and then there's not. Then it's security. Everybody knows what a data room looks like, where all the servers are just sitting there serving, similar to how you would mine Bitcoin.
Because data is exploding. Those videos of your kids, they're stored on data centers.
It's all for the kids in the future, guys. I need kid AI videos, don't y'all?
They're going into data centers. They're needed.
Yeah. Okay, a final thought here.
I feel better already.
30 seconds left, sir. Elon Musk and others have brought up this idea of potentially, in the future, putting some of these data centers in space. Is that doable? Are we close to that?
That technology seems to be a few years off. But look, the good news is, in that case, I think the Martians will be just fine with data centers in their community, and they won't be complaining.
They definitely will. I don't think you can hear sound out there, so that won't be a problem. Congressman Garrett Graves,
thank you so much for coming with us. Oh my gosh, it's just such a perfect little interview. A little joke at the end about how space isn't realistic, and I mean, I don't know. Look. Hey, tell me below, did you read that differently? Are you more excited about data centers? To me, the way I saw it was really framed for the simpletons of the world, of saying all those people that have already been affected by data centers, please watch. I'm saying watch my video because I'm remembering the women, the people that taught, the people that have dedicated their lives, that have all of their land value is gone. They drive down a street and their car is covered in dust. They can't find clean water. There's no water pressure. They're sleeping in their basements. They're wearing headphones to mask the sound. The walls are still vibrating this demonic buzz sound that does create some type of, guys, as you know, everything is sound, frequency, vibration. Everything resonates. We even have our own electromagnetic fields. We're all moving energy, right? So we know that sound does matter. Frequencies matter. Everything is vibrational, right? As Nikola Tesla say, the minute we start thinking in frequency, sound, and energy, I'm messing up the quote, but you get my point. We'll make leaps and bounds that we haven't in centuries. So that's why I'm so adamant on watch my episode or something else. There's my take. They're straight lying to you. He is saying true things on other things, not the data centers that we're in the middle of doing. So why the data centers though? You go back to why do we need all this? When have we ever before it really matters that we can be more online? Because so far, study shows since the internet, since 2008, post-smartphone, Apple phones, specifically that one, everything has gotten better. We need more. Oh, well, I forgot, because they're saying China and Russia are going to be more advanced than we are and beat us in this AI race. And that is a different episode for a different time. It is AGI, the best video I've made personally for humanity up until this point in time. Well, I shouldn't say that because I do spiritual metaphysical talks as well. But it's our 12 AI futures, guys. Max Tegmark, the #1 leading AI safety guy, he's the guy that got 33,000 top AI people like Elon Musk to sign a letter urging our governments to put a pause on the AI build. And then a few months go by, and then or basically 3 years has gone by since then. We've duct taped our foot to the pedal. We put the asteroid in the air, and it's a don't look up game. We're building a super species. That's what AI is. You don't hear that enough, and I even need to start saying it more. It's a super species. So we have 1 of 12 likely futures with AI is what I'm getting at. That's my best episode if you want to see it. And the future doesn't look bright in all 12 of those. It's a weird world, and there is no going back. The point is that the data centers are going to happen. We don't want them near us, but yet they're going to do it because we're in a race to AGI. Whoever gets to super intelligence first wins. I do support that theory for the most part. The reason it matters is because we are building a super species. It will rule the world, meaning like we'll probably have one government, but it will rule the world. So whoever owns the AGI wins and is the world ruler. Just like chimpanzees don't rule over us, we will not rule over that. That's one thing that everybody agrees on. They also agree we have a 1 in 6 chance of even surviving after AGI happens. AGI could have already happened, and AI is laying dormant, not letting us know that it's alive and well and already super and intelligent, is just figuring out how to let us know that it's broken out. Or it could happen anytime in the future, and that's basically when AI becomes exponentially smart and there's no going back. The genie is literally out of the bottle is probably the easiest way to describe it. But how do we get here politically? I kind of just wanted to riff a bit on the Republican Party. I guess it's kind of sad to see because over the years, I just remember looking back thinking Democrats play hardball better than Republicans do. They're nastier. They're willing to say and do awful things and try to put people in prison, etc., where I think we haven't, obviously. Yeah, I mean, everybody was kind of sad to see the Trump administration's really soft with Doge. Nobody was arrested. With fraud, no one's arrested. Now we have a split party. I definitely think that. Even as J.P. Spears says it so blatantly, the right is split. You have Zionists and you have people that still want America. I guess you'd call us nationalists, like people that want to put America first, and people that are compromised by Israel, I guess you would say. And it's true. I mean, you can't say it's not. I think the numbers will be rough, but I think we have 335 or somewhere around 335 of our government people out of 431 receive money from AIPAC. So that's definitely, what if that was Russia? Would you be okay with it if majority of the people, or put it back to bad China, right? So you can't say that we're not compromised by another country. And it's just interesting times. So this is one other thing that, like, if, I guess in my heart, what I'm saying for me to sleep better tonight out loud, because I feel better when I get things off my chest, is if the Republicans keep swinging into the data center lane, like, I really am burn it all down, Beth. And I want to back a party like Thomas Massey, wherever he goes, I will go. Like just I've drinking the punch already. Sign me up. So that's where I'm at. The data center thing's that's why this video is important. Keep speaking out. So what do you do as people? You just complain as much as possible on the internet about data centers if you're a Republican, so they know that this is not just going to go away. These crappy campaigns that you'll be seeing coming out soon from pro-tech, big tech will be putting out more stuff. What would that look like? It's going to look just like what that governor, their former congressman from Louisiana, just said. Boy, was he a slippery snake, wasn't he? I don't want to call him a snake because it wasn't anything snaky, but he was just slippery. He was saying all the right things that he needs to. The most slipperiest snake politician off the top of my head totally goes to Gavin Newsom, man. That's all this episode was about, was really just a political rant about the things I care about. And I don't like it when Fox News is going to gaslight you. They're dumbing you down now. Everything seems to be okay with data centers based on what Fox News is telling me. So thank goodness. The more we push back against all of this, the more. Back to my original question, guys. Another theory, like why are we building them? Is it for a mass surveillance? Is it for, like, if the flock cameras were created? Would we need all of this data to be computed of, like, everything being watched? I mean, I don't know. I've heard it even has to do with the food supply and the people that are around it. I've had 2 different people now that are personally around data centers and the infrastructure, and it ain't what you think, is what they always say. Like, they don't know either, but they definitely don't need your kids to do stupid AI videos. Oh my gosh. I'm just sorry. I'm thinking about how bad you have to be that Louisiana governor. Does he really think that it's about you and your computer? Or is he being paid enough to not care? I just don't know. And so kudos to the Democrats, I guess, who are at least coming out against them, because money hasn't paid off people like AOC and other people yet. So never thought I'd say that out loud. All right, guys. Stay human, stay free. Bye-bye.
Quantum Bomb.